Muted.
We're a few minutes after 2 o'clock here on the East Coast, so we'll go ahead and get started here. First off, good afternoon to everybody, or good morning, depending on where you're located throughout the country. Appreciate everybody for joining up here. My name is Greg Keller, and I am the Eastern Regional Manager here for Revizto, and I'll be conducting today's training that focuses specifically on our 2D overlay functionality and how to use that to do model checking and help with quality control purposes. Everyone's probably used to hearing Mark Szewski's name, or Mark Szewski's voice, with these trainings and video tutorials that you guys probably see online. We call him the professor. We're going to give him a break today, and I'm going to handle that. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. So as firms start to try to digitize more processes here in the industry, you know, the 2D overlay functionality combined with, you know, the 3D model, we think is going to give folks a good option for being able to do, you know, as I said, model review and quality control purposes. So that's what my aim is to do here today. I want to spend a few minutes on showing you guys the two different ways that we can bring in 2D overlays within Revizto, and then we will open it up for questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen out with you guys and get started. So the first way that we are able to bring in 2D sheets and thus overlay inside of Revizto is directly export from Revit. And this may be a review for some of you, but I'm imagining that there's quite a few folks on this call that have not had a chance yet to take advantage of the 2D overlay functionality. So first and foremost, whether it is a new project out of Revit and you want to be able to export not only the 3D model, but also the 2D sheets natively from Revit, you have the ability to do that here in Revizto. Even if a model is exported out of Navisworks into Revizto as the main model, you have the ability, you or anybody else that's invited to the project as a content creator, has the ability to go into their Revit file and append sheets only into an already existing project. So obviously if it's the 3D model is exported out of Revit, you have the ability to also export sheets as it says here. But again, even if a model is exported out of Navisworks, you have the ability to append the 2D sheets in here as well. So just to show you guys the start, when I click export to Revizto, this options dialog box will pop up. Again, if I'm doing it for the first time, you know, with my 3D model, or I'm overwriting a 3D model here, and I want to bring not only the model but the sheets, I do that. Or if I know that my 3D model is already part of the export, but I want to be able to append my sheets in, then I would just simply uncheck the 3D model box and leave the sheets box checked. So when I click the select button, this will bring up yet another dialog box that allows us to choose these sheets. Pick a group of them or select all and be able to export. For those that don't know, the sheets directly from Revit have the ability to be exported either as an image file or a vector format. A vector format does take a little bit longer to export, but the quality on a vector sheet is a lot higher than an image, and it allows you to zoom in as far as you want without losing the quality of that sheet. So the decision is yours when you export out of when you export those sheets out into Revizto. So once those sheets come in, you know, then I'm going to just come into my Revizto area here and show you guys initially the overlay with the Revit sheets. So if I come into my 2D section here in Revizto, you'll notice the three main sections of Revizto: 2D, 3D, and issue tracker. So in the 2D function or 2D section of Revizto, I have a couple folders set up here. I'm just going to drill down here into the sheets that have been exported natively from Revit and show you guys a couple or a few different sheets here that we can overlay. So when sheets are exported natively out of Revit, there is no additional work required It happens automatically because everything is tied to coordinate and elevation. When you export those sheets out, it will automatically have the overlay functionality built in. When I show you guys the ability to overlay PDFs, that does take a little bit of legwork, but you know, the same thing can be accomplished none the same. So first and foremost, if I come down and I guess we'll just select this building section sheet here as the first example. When I open this sheet here in Revizto, you'll notice that we have these two green icons down here. So this is what allows you to overlay at each one of these views on top of the 3D section of the model. And any sheet that you bring in, regardless of how many views there are on that sheet, it's going to have that icon, you know, in the bottom left corner of all of those. So when I click on that icon here, we notice that we have our sheet overlaid based on the correct section. So now what I can do is use this as a way to navigate through the model, you know, verify that the sheet is matching the model, or more importantly, the model is matching the sheet. And so with this being overlaid, you'll notice the green little gadget that we have here. What this allows us to do is to drag the sheet out and just kind of see what how the overlay looks as we kind of approach different sections. So right now the sheet is attached, as you'll notice, to the model. So as I zoom this in and out, it kind of follows and is attached to the model. If I want to be able to keep the sheet where it is and bring out the model, I can do that as well. So by simply clicking detach that, and now I can drag out that model with the sheet staying put, and we have you know, more. We have the ability to kind of come in here and view that in different ways. So I can be inside of the model looking out at the sheet. I can be obviously outside of the model looking in at the sheet. So obviously different ways here to be able to view that overlay. I'm going to go ahead and reattach the sheet. So one of the other nice things that you can do is once you overlay this sheet onto the model, we can X out of the actual overlay portion while still keeping that overlay present. So when I click the X button here, you'll notice that the overlay stays in place, but now it gives me access to some of the other functionality in Revizto. So, you know, now what a good thing might be able to do is utilize our ruler functionality as a model checking. So, for example, we see that we have in this building section sheet a couple measurements here, 8 feet 6 to the light fixture here, 9 feet from wall or from floor to ceiling here. So as a way to verify if that is in fact, if the model is in fact matching up on the sheet, I can go ahead and click my ruler icon, which now brings us into our laser functionality. And as we drag that, you know, to the proper area here, the wall to the ceiling, we can see that we have, in fact, a measurement of 8 feet, 11 7/8 inches, whereas the sheet is giving us a measurement of 9 feet. So obviously pretty close there, and you know, depending on your the amount of clearance you're allowed, looks like the model is pretty much you know, matching the actual sheet here. Okay, so that is an example of different things that we can do while we have the overlay, but still have access to other functionality inside of Revizto. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a couple of other examples here of the sheets. And at any point, if we want to just get back to the 2D overlay, we would click the 2D button, and then you click this Rubik's Cube looking icon here, which brings up a list of the rest of the plans that we've brought in. So just scrolling down here and taking a look at a couple of more sheets. If I open up interior elevations, this is a good example of, you know, you see that we have 4 different views in this sheet, each one with that green icon. So just to show you guys a couple more examples of that, I will click on the cafe here, and you'll notice that we have you know, some measurements going on here, some call outs, and we can be able to view that you know, on top of the 3D model. And same thing, as we drag and drop, so to speak, we get the different vantage points as we drag out the section. And now I'll go back to 2D. We're still at that sheet, and now I want to check out yet another view. Okay. So now just one more example of an actual Revit sheet here. If I come into, let's say, level 1 floor plan, open that up, click on the green icon here. So now what we can do here, in addition to seeing the overlay with the section, we can actually create an issue here, and that's part of kind of what we see as part of a quality control process. While the overlay is on top of the 3D model, we have the ability to create an issue with that as well. And many people are used to redlining 2D sheets, so this kind of gives you the best of both worlds, being able to have that sheet overlaid with having the 3D model in place as well. So if for example, let's say that there was no wall here in this particular sheet, and we wanted to redline that with the model underneath that, we can click our plus button, and we can select our spot where we want to have that floating issue pin, and now we can simply mark up the 2D sheet or the 2D overlay, create a call out, and say, 2D sheet shows no wall here. Why the model? Okay. 2D wall issue. Select done, and now we've created that issue with the overlay on top of the actual 3D model. And at any point we can click on 3D and have it bring us directly back to that, and actually be able to come into the model and navigate around and still see these floating issue pins here, be able to click on each one of these and see what particular issue that is inside of the issue tracker. So that is another feature that we have available with the overlay. So now what I want to do is show you guys the second way of being able to bring in 2D sheets into Revizto, and that is in the form of a PDF, which obviously is the official document. And so while Revizto obviously doesn't have the ability to directly import PDFs or to directly export PDFs, we have the ability to import those into the 2D section here. So when I go into the 2D section, you'll notice this icon here, a little box with an arrow pointing down. That is our import icon. So when I click that, it brings up my folder structure here. And in this case, I have a folder with a bunch of PDFs with this particular law office. So just for the sake of this training here, I'm going to grab a few here and click open. So now it starts the process of importing those PDFs into Revizto. So as I scroll down here, you can see all these different sheets with the preview that I brought in. If these PDFs were something that you wanted to connect to an already existing sheet in Revizto, you can simply select connect, and it will bring up a list of sheets that are already in Revizto and allow you to connect that sheet to the already existing one. In this case, I'm just bringing in these sheets, for the first time here, so I'm not looking to connect any sheets. I click done, and those PDFs will be imported into the Revizto, the 2D section. So by default, they're not necessarily going to go into a particular folder, but once they are into Revizto, we can grab that group of PDFs and drop it into a particular folder structure that we may have set up. So in this case, we can see that here are the PDFs that I've just brought in. So what I'm going to do is select this icon here, which allows us to then pick. I'm just going to hit shift and grab all those, and we can move those to our Law Office PDF folder. We click apply, and now those PDFs that we've just brought in are within that particular, the correct folder. So the individual PDFs, as you guys just saw there, those will obviously drop them into Revizto as individual PDFs. If you guys import a batch group of PDFs, so if you have 200 sheets, let's say, that's all one PDF, it will separate those PDFs out in Revizto, so that way you can see that list of sheets and be able to click on each one and open that, rather than having to sift through that entire document. And Revizto will pick up the title convention and be able to map that title over into Revizto of what that PDF is titled as. Okay, so now what I want to do is show you guys how we set up the PDF inside of Revizto. So again, PDFs, it takes a little bit more work because a PDF is by nature is a dumb document. It's not going to automatically tie to a spot in the 3D model, but we can find we have created a way where you can easily do that with a couple clicks. So for example, if I use this RCP, this HVAC RCP, when I click open, and actually I've already done that, so I'm going to select set up 3D overlay. You'll notice that it tells me that I cannot do that because it's already overlaid. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and select remove all overlays to reset it. So now you'll see that we no longer have that green icon. So the first step that we would do with these PDFs is click, as you can imagine, set up PDF overlay. So now the first step is to crop the sheet to what we want to have overlaid. And that's just simply done by dragging these circles and cropping that picture in, so to speak. We select done. The next step is to set up our section. So in this case, this was a level 1 RCP. So I'm going to take our gadget here and drag the section cut down probably close to halfway in level 1. So that's the section that I want. I click done. And now it has our overlay functionality, but now we have to set it up and kind of lock it into place to ensure that we're overlaying it in the proper area. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and when I click Control and hold Control, you'll notice that the sphere goes to blue. So now when I click the Control button, it allows me to grab that, and I can lock into a specific point here on the sheet. So as I zoom in a little bit, I can get real close to this to ensure that, hey, I need to get into a very specific spot here. So I'm going to keep that sphere locked into that intersection there, and then I'm going to come over to my other sphere here, and the same thing, I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to drop and lock that into this corner here. So now I have the area that locked into the area that I want. Now it's as simple as taking that, dragging the sphere and locking it into place. So this again takes a couple steps, and it might take a few times for you guys to get comfortable with. But once you do, it really is a pretty quick process. So again, I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to get real close in here to make sure that I've locked onto the proper spot here. Okay. Shoot back over here. Make sure that we're still all lined up. Okay. So now we've locked it into place here. We select done. And now that overlay is now permanent for anybody else who comes in and wants to view this overlay. So the overlay is set up merely one time. Every time after that, whoever comes in and accesses this PDF, they are going to see that green icon, and it will automatically do that overlay for them. Even when sheets are re-exported, as long as that name of the sheet does not change. It will overwrite the previously existing sheet, and it will keep that same exact overlay. So you don't need to go in and set up the overlay each time you re-export a new batch of sheets. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and go back into the overlay. And now again, from a model review standpoint, if we're doing RCP coordination, something to that effect, if I'm coming in here and I want to verify the diffuser location here, how many diffusers there are in this hallway, what does my code tell me? Does the model match up with the sheets, that sort of thing. So as I drag this up here, we can imagine, or we can pretend that maybe there needs to be per the code or the sheet says that there's supposed to be another diffuser here. We don't see that in the model, something to that effect. So this is obviously something, once again, that we can mark up and log into our issue tracking platform. So I'm going to just drag this up here a little bit, and we can in fact verify that in this particular case everything is matching up. All those light fixtures are matching up based off of the sheet. And as we drag this up a little bit more, you can see that the diffusers and the ducts are also, looks like everything's matching up as it should. But again, assuming that we needed to relocate this diffuser to the corner here, or maybe we needed to add a diffuser here, it's something that we want to be able to mark up, not only with the sheet, but with the 3D model here. So again, I can navigate in here with the sheet overhead and get an idea of what's supposed to be there based off of our plan. And then again, we can drag and drop this to verify, yes, in fact, that everything looks good. In this case, just as an example here, so we can show a markup here again, I'm going to go ahead and create another issue here. Click in my plus button. We drag our little issue icon of where we want that located in the 3D model. Now I'm going to adjust this difference to bring it up a little bit closer. And now, once again, we're just going to create an outline here. And a call out and say, plan says there should be a diffuser here, but there is none in model. Okay, so we can maybe say QC, RCP, HVAC, issue 1, whatever you guys would like to title that. So create the issue here, logged into the Revizto issue tracker. Again, we can assign this to specific people that we need to address this in their Revit model. We can add tags, we can add deadlines. I'm sure that most of you on this are pretty familiar with the different features inside of the issue tracker, so I won't harp on that. But again, as firms move towards a more digital process for a lot of these workflows, the 2D overlay on top of the 3D model is in position to really help out. So, and then one other thing that I wanted to bring up here for you guys is we have the ability to, once we bring these PDFs in here, whether they're PDFs or actual Revit sheet, we have the ability to tag these particular sheets as well. So if I click on multi-tag here, and let's just say that I got to grab all these PDFs that I just brought in, and I want to be able to tag these as QC here. So I'm just going to add a QC tag. So now each one of these sheets is automatically tagged as QC. When we go ahead and we create the issues off of those sheets, they're automatically going to have that QC tag. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up, guys. It's almost 2:30 here, so pretty much right where I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up for questions. Dan Stein says that's a nice looking model. Yeah, who sent us that model? I don't know, some guy. So let's see, we have a question here. Seem to remember that you could see grids in 3D and Revizto in 3D. Can you show that? The grids. So I think that question is from Helen. Helen, I think what you're talking about maybe is in our 2D map functionality, which is you know, a little bit off the 2D overlay, so to speak, but nevertheless, if this is what you're talking about, in our 3D functionality, when we click on our map tool, as we zoom in here, and I don't know why the grids are not necessarily showing up here in this particular model, but I think that's probably what you were referring to. So in the 2D map functionality here, we can turn our rooms and our grids on and be able to jump from, you know, one place to the next here. So clicking in the associate office brings me directly there. Now I can go back to that map functionality, go down to level 1, come into the conference room here, double click, and we're there. So I think that's probably what you were talking about. So another question here. Once you set up a PDF overlay, if you upload a new version to PDF, same file name, do you have to go through all the steps again? So James, no. Again, as I said, once you bring in that PDF, you set up that overlay one time. Even if you re-export or re-import the up-to-date version of that PDF, as long as the title does not change, then that overlay is automatically going to stay in the same exact spot. Okay. Another question here. You link this RCP sheet in. Theoretically, you would want it to be looking up. Is it possible to flop the overlay and section cut to be looking the other way? So yeah, so with that RCP, again, what we can do when we overlay that is we can drag up the RCP, or drag up the PDF to where it is at ceiling level, and be able to navigate in through here and look up. That is the extent of the capabilities at this point. Okay, another question here. When you have the sheet overlaid on the model for a certain floor, i.e. floor 2, and you're utilizing the section box tool to cut your model, is there a way to have the appropriate sheet change per elevation / level you're on? So Jennifer, yeah, that's something that we do get asked quite a bit, and I don't have the exact answer of why, either the technical team hasn't been able to do that yet, or if they haven't gotten, if we can't do that, I'm not exactly sure, but that is something that I can get verified for you and get back to you on. So as it sits right now, when you overlay a sheet, if you go up a different level, it's still going to have the sheet based off of that particular level. So in this case, level 1, we're up in level 2, so it obviously doesn't correspond. As I bring it down, now we're in level 1 again, and the sheet corresponds. So at this point, we don't have that, but it's, we are releasing, new versions every couple months, and it is based off of customer feedback and the different, additions to the tool. So that's certainly something that you can request, and if it's possible, and given the right time, our technical team, as most of you guys can attest to, is pretty amazing at getting things added. Okay, any other questions, guys? And I'm trying to find a way here to unmute everybody, but I can't seem to figure it out here on this webinar. So yeah, so if you have any other questions, guys, just type into the chat box and I'll get them answered for you. No other questions? Going once, going twice? All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. I appreciate your time once again. Hopefully this was productive. I know it didn't look to take up too much of your time here, but wanted to go through this for a few minutes and get everybody comfortable with the overlay functionality. So thanks again. And any questions, please feel free to ping me. My email is g.keller, Keller, @revisto.com. And I'll stop the recording now, and this will be available on our YouTube channel.